Recently, I served on a panel with my colleagues in dance, and we were discussing the ways that technique can so often become this sort of codified, stale source for a practice that then leads us into creative research. And I thought, no, I'm really interested in finding the way that critical thinking comes into the practice of the body and both trains us and opens up our minds in how we solve the problems of dance in space and time and effort. So I'd like to just use the tendu and plie, traditional ballet technique that's often used in a lot of other practices, including modern dance, as a source point to explain the way one might find a whole inner dialogue in the body, in space and time and effort in this practice. So in our plie, we start off here and then reaching into our tendu. So as I go into plie, I'm thinking about how my energy is reaching up through my back. I'm thinking how my source point in my center stays connected. I'm thinking about how to utilize my breath. But in any given day, all of those components actually have really different flavors and different challenges. So in one day, the floor might be colder or warmer, and the way it pushes back against me is different. Perhaps I'm on a different surface than I'm used to. I'm not usually in this space for this work, so my feet are understanding how the floor is working. So as I plie, I'm opening up my senses to how the floor itself pushes back upon me. And I impress upon my students to think about that relationship. It's not just a benign surface. It's coming into contact with us and supporting us as much as we're putting pressure into it. So I find my plie. I'm thinking about all the little muscles in my Achilles that are releasing and engaging at the same time. So how does one release and engage to respond to this very fundamental technique of a plie, of finding our depth? So from our depth then comes a tendu. And I've found that even in contemporary dance, I'm still interested in the tendu because it's this place of coming from my base, where I'm secure, to my first sort of reaching out in space. And from there, who knows where I'm going to go in my tendu. So from there, I'm thinking, how is my back responding behind me? How are my senses opening up into the room? How is my focus connecting and then guiding this work? Seeming like such a simple action of reaching the leg into space, but all of those components have to come in to sustain the work. It becomes really holistic and supportive and rich. It makes for a really rigorous practice, both creatively and just energetically in the body. But it makes for really seasoned performers. And so I really try to apply all of that. It takes a certain type of diligence to maintain that sort of focus with every movement that we make. But I find that it deepens and enriches the work that I do.